them a future tag team title run in the future, destroying a team like the Dudley Boys. Did not really agree with how they were treated in Brooklyn. Obviously, this sets up now and really raises the tension to an all-time high for the New Day and Anderson and Gallows, the club, when they face off in the rematch, which obviously will be happening at Backlash. That's going to, or at the Clash of Champions pay-per-view on the 25th of September, with SmackDown going to be crowning their own tag team champion. So I'm looking forward to that. But pretty much you can predict off the disqualification victory, this is setting up for more promising things to happen for the club, and we probably will see that by Clash of Champions when they defend the titles against the club, and was also really hoping that the Dudley Boys would factor into it. Maybe they'll make an appearance at the Clash of Champions pay-per-view because they're not going to be teaming together anymore for tag team action. That doesn't mean that we have seen the last of the Dudley Boys, so maybe they will have their last hurrah at the Clash of Champions pay-per-view on the 25th by costing the club after beating the hell out of them in Brooklyn, ruining their goodbye celebration and the end of their career, the climax of their career, if you would. Maybe they'll get their vengeance by Clash of Champions. By the way, guys, how do you feel about that Clash of Champions concept? The first time in years since we saw all the numbers of the Clash of Champions by World Championship Wrestling, the WCW pay-per-view being brought back, just as they brought back the Great American Bash in 2004, and they had that for several years. How do you feel about the WCW pay-per-view, the latest WCW pay-per-view to be added to the WWE pay-per-view lineup every year? How do you feel about that? Let me know what your opinion is on that in social media. I hope they really tie in the history of Clash of Champions with the return of this prestigious event, and don't forget about the prestige that goes with this event. And Big E was not the only return that we saw at SummerSlam. In the 6 women's tag team match representing the SmackDown Live women's division, of course, hyping up for the crowning of the inaugural SmackDown Women's Champion, a match that will feature the likes of Naomi, the returning Nikki Bella, Alexa Bliss. So many promising names are going to be involved in the six-pack challenge to crown the inaugural SmackDown Live Women's Champion. Nikki Bella returning for her team. And the SmackDown Live 6-women tag team match, Nikki Bella's team wins one over. Really appreciated the tag team combinations, names like Alexa Bliss and Carmella being highlighted in this match. Naomi was also in there, but Nikki Bella, an impressive return. Was really proud to be talking about this for a written column, writing about it a couple of days ago. Just finished up writing my thoughts on the return of Nikki Bella. I see a very promising future for her. Just as she made history of being the longest reigning Divas champion in history for the championship became the women's title at WrestleMania 32 earlier this year, I see her making that same amount of history, even greater history probably for her ahead by becoming the inaugural SmackDown Live Women's Champion, just as we will see tag team champions crowned by Backlash on the 11th. Really proud of the returns of Big E and Nikki Bella. Very promising futures ahead for both of them. Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton, about 10-15 minutes if we were lucky. Was really hoping that Randy Orton was going to be known as the guy to kill the legend of Brock Lesnar, although you knew in the back of your mind Brock Lesnar had a significant advantage over Randy Orton. He was coming off the victory over Mark Hunt at UFC 200, even though there was a lot of confliction over the victory by Brock Lesnar in the Octagon. Brock Lesnar was coming off a huge pay-per-view victory, so he was not going in off of UFC 200 to lose to Randy Orton in this match. Randy Orton also had a psychological advantage over Brock Lesnar, too much of a psychological advantage from my standpoint where I choose to look at this match. So pretty much it was a guarantee, and you knew it was a guarantee Lesnar was going to win regardless if he made Randy Orton submit or he pinned Randy Orton or he got the victory the way he did by a total knockout after he busted Randy Orton's head open. I think there was something like 10 or 18 stitches required to patch up the wound that Lesnar had given Randy Orton. What a beating Brock Lesnar gave Randy Orton. Randy Orton held his own for a while in the match, hit several RKOs, even an RKO on one of the announcer tables. Lesnar threw Randy Orton through a table, literally threw him through a table. And then Brock Lesnar off the F5 takes the gloves off and just beats down Randy Orton to a bloody pulp from where I choose to look at this match. Was there really any need of the actions of Brock Lesnar in this match? It really ruined the pay-per-view. It really took away from what this match could have been and the opinions that we could have came away from this match having had. I didn't agree with the conclusion of the match. I thought that Brock Lesnar's actions really allowed Lesnar to cross the line in a way that Lesnar shouldn't have been allowed to cross the line, which leads me to believe that one of two things will happen here because of the chance of Goldberg's name. Either we'll see the return of Goldberg for Lesnar versus Goldberg 2 by WrestleMania 33 sometime in 2017, or we will see Shane McMahon versus Brock Lesnar off the F5 with Shane McMahon. You got to be kidding me. We waited 4 hours to see Shane McMahon be F5 by Brock Lesnar. That was the conclusion of SummerSlam. No Goldberg, no victory by Randy Orton. Brock Lesnar just tacks another victory into the win column for him, you better believe the issues between Shane McMahon and Brock Lesnar are far from over, and you can get that from the promos of Shane McMahon and Randy Orton that we saw on SmackDown. Shane McMahon said you wanted a sound point, you wanted a statement from him, you got it, because the issues apparently now, according to him, between himself and Brock Lesnar are far from over. And if it doesn't happen as early as Backlash, it will happen sometime before Survivor Series, if not at. Survivor Series, we'll be looking at Shane McMahon versus Brock Lesnar. And I want to get your guys' opinion on the match between Brock Lesnar and Shane McMahon. Do you think this is a match that, would be probably better done if it happened 10 years ago as opposed to 10 or 15 years way too late? Do you think this is too late for this match to be happening? And do you actually think that Shane McMahon stands a chance in this match? From my estimation, I think he does stand a chance in this match. I'm going to tell you why. Even though Shane McMahon's losses outnumber significantly the amount of times he has won on pay-per-view and big match situations, Shane McMahon has been able to hold his own in big match situations. He did it earlier this year against The Undertaker. He did it against Kane. He's done it against The Big Show. He's done it against Randy Orton in the past. He has seen his fair share of moments on pay-per-view. He's been known for taking these high, significant bumps in the matches. We saw him taking it against The Undertaker, jumping out the Hell in a Cell, taking that incredible leap of faith. But with how he's become known for being a pay-per-view legend for so many years, you can't count Shane McMahon in this match with Brock Lesnar for 1 minute. So I'm going with probably Shane McMahon in this match. He has a chance, but the obvious prediction to be made, and this is why I'm asking the fans for your opinion on this, the obvious prediction to be made because of Brock Lesnar's reputation in the UFC and mixed martial arts is that Lesnar would win the match. And I'm not going to go as far as to say Lesnar will win the match because that's just merely drawing a conclusion. But there will be a significant fallout from this match. We're just waiting for it to happen. And there's a lot of hype for Shane McMahon versus Brock Lesnar. And just to let you guys know, I will be writing a column with my opinion on Shane McMahon versus Brock Lesnar, even though this match has not been confirmed. You pretty much can decipher it from the tweets that have been dropped by Paul Heyman, Brock Lesnar himself, Randy Orton, and everything that's been teased for Shane McMahon versus Brock Lesnar or Goldberg versus Lesnar 2. The last time we saw them wrestle was over 12 years ago. Just finished writing up about that for my column in this corner with Jonathan Clarke. So there's a lot to talk about when you're talking about the fallout from SummerSlam 2016. Not the best SummerSlam that we have seen in years. No Undertaker, no major name in a major main event this year, only Brock Lesnar versus Randy Orton. That's the best SummerSlam gave us. Not the best SummerSlam that I have seen in the last number of years. The Women's Championship match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks. I was either going to give AJ Styles versus John Cena match of the night or Sasha Banks versus Charlotte. This was another match that really pissed me off with the conclusion of it. Sasha Banks was merely women's champion for merely 3 weeks, loses the title the way she did after Charlotte used her weight advantage to her advantage to capitalize, getting the 3 count and becoming a 2-time women's champion. The only good thing to come out of this match, besides the incredible effort Sasha Banks gave us to try to retain her title in her first ever pay-per-view title defense in the first ever pay-per-view match between Charlotte and Sasha Banks, who you knew had a decisive advantage because she was 11-0 on pay-per-view, had never lost in a pay-per-view in her life going into the match, and her chances of going 12-0 on pay-per-view were better than Sasha Banks handing her first loss on pay-per-view and retaining the title. The only thing good to come out of this was Bayley eventually debuted on Raw less than 24 hours in the Barclays Center. She comes out, challenges Charlotte for the championship. Charlotte does not accept the challenge, and we see Dana Brooke versus Sasha Banks in what was an incredible match for Bayley to make her, or Dana Brooke versus Bayley, rather, which was an incredible match for Bayley to make her debut in a WWE ring for the first time ever. And off that victory over Dana Brooke, there is a lot of promise that goes with Bayley's debut in WWE, and obviously we will see a match between Charlotte and Bayley. I predict this will happen at the Clash of Champions pay-per-view. Bayley was always one of my favorites in the women's divisions for either Raw or SmackDown. She was my favorite, one of my favorites from the NXT women's division, and she was just fantastic as part of the Four Horsemen, or the Four Horsewomen in NXT. She was just amazing. She was just an all-around gifted athlete, a gifted performer, and you knew she was destined for a call-up with WWE. So off the returns and the debuts, Bayley, the returns of Nikki Bella and Big E, definitely. Bayley's debut and the return of Nikki Bella, definitely some of the highlights to come out of this year's SummerSlam. But all in all, on a 5-star scale perspective, because of everything that happened and how many of the things that happened at SummerSlam didn't happen in our favor, and a lot of things happened at SummerSlam that we didn't expect to happen. You don't really have to go as far as to rate this pay-per-view 5 out of 5 stars on a 5-star scale perspective rating. I'll rate this year's SummerSlam 3 out of 5. I won't go down as far as 2 out of 5 stars because SummerSlam did have a lot of good matches. One of the best matches of the night was AJ Styles and John Cena. That's my choice for match of the night, and it might not necessarily be your choice for match of the night. If you had to choose between, say, Sasha Banks and Charlotte or AJ Styles and John Cena, which one of the two, or would there be another match that you would designate as your choice for match of the night? You can get in on the conversation in the comments of my video blog on my YouTube channel. Just one of many ways you can get in on the conversation about the fallout of SummerSlam. I've been meaning to do this video for a while, just getting around to doing it today. So I'm just giving you some brief thoughts on this year's SummerSlam. The show kicked off with the tag team match, Enzo and Cass against Jericho. From there, we go from that to the women's championship match between Sasha Banks and Charlotte. Just the second match of the night, the first championship match of the night. It was a pretty incredible match that we saw, but, I could have, had it preferably gone another way for Sasha Banks to retain the